अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन धाम की जय। श्री गंगा माई की जय, श्री जमुना माई की जय, श्री भक्तिमती तुलसी महारानी की जय, समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Hare.
Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayan Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Hare Krishna. So this morning we are reading from Canto 2, Chapter 10. Bhagavatam is the answer to all the questions, and text 43. Tataha kalagni rudratma yatshishtam idamatmanaha saniyachati tatkale ghani ghanikam ivanilaha. Tata kalagniruddhatma yatstrishtam idam atmanaha saniyachyati tatkale ghananikam ivanila. Tata kalagniruddhatma yatstrishtam idam atmanaha saniyachyati tatkale ghananikam ivanila. Anyone would like to repeat?
Tata kalagni rudratma yatsrushtam idamatmanaha sanniyachati tatkale ghananikam ivanilaha.
Thank you.
Tatkalagni rudratma yatsrishtam idamatmanaha sanniyachati tatkale gananikam ivanilaha.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Tatha kalagni rudratma yatrishtam idam atmanaha shanni ichhati tatkale dhananikam ivanilaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. तथा कालाग्निरुद्रात्मा यत्सृष्टम् इदम् आत्मनः शन्नियच्छति तत्काले घानानेकम् इवानिलः.
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna.
ततः कालाग्निरुद्रात्मा यत् सृष्टमिदम् आत्मनः संयच्छति तत्काले घनानिकमिवानिलः. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna.
ततः कालाग्निरुद्रात्मा यत्सृष्टम् इदमात्मना सन्नियच्छति तत्काले घनानीकमिवानिला.
हरे कृष्ण. ततः कालाग्निरुद्रात्मा यत्श्रेष्ठम् इदम् आत्मनः सन्नियच्छति तत्काले घनानीकम् इवानिलः. हरे कृष्ण.
तथा कलग्निरुद्धात्मा यच्छिष्टमिदमात्मना संयच्छति तत्काले घनानिकम् इवानिलः. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Synonyms: Tataha, thereafter, at the end; Kala, destruction; Agni, fire; Rudratma, in the form of Rudra; Yat, whatever; Srishtam, created; Idam, all these; Atmanaha, of his own; Sam, completely; Niyachati, annihilates; Tat Kale, at the end of the millennium; Ghana Anikam, bunches of clouds; Iva, like that of; Anilaha, air. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thereafter, at the end of the millennium, the Lord Himself, in the form of Rudra, the destroyer, will annihilate the complete creation as the wind displaces the clouds. Purport. This creation is very appropriately compared to clouds. Clouds are created or situated in the sky, and when they are displaced, they remain in the same sky without manifestation. Similarly, the whole creation is made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his form of Brahma. It is maintained by him in the form of Vishnu, and it is destroyed by him in the form of Rudra or Shiva in due course. This creation, maintenance, and destruction are nicely explained in Bhagavad Gita 8.19 till 20 as follows. Bhuta gramaha sa evyam bhutva bhutva praliyate ratrig agame vasaha partha prabhavati ahar agami paras tasmat tu bhavo niyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yasa sarveshu bhuteshu nyasya yatsu na vinashyati. The nature of the material world is that it is first created very nicely, then it develops very nicely and stays for a great number of years, even beyond the calculation of the greatest mathematician. But after that, it is again destroyed during the night of Brahma without any resistance, and at the end of the night of Brahma, it is again manifested as a creation to follow the same principles of maintenance and destruction. The foolish conditioned soul who has taken this temporary world as a permanent settlement has to learn intelligently why such creation and destruction take place. The fruitive actors in the material world are very enthusiastic in the creation of big enterprises, big houses, big empires, big industries, and so many big things out of the energy and ingredients supplied by the material agent of the Supreme Lord. With such resources and at the cost of valuable energy, the conditioned soul creates, satisfies his whims, but unwillingly has to depart from all his creations and enter into the another phase of life to create again and again. To give hope to such foolish conditions, souls who waste their energy in their temporary material world, the Lord gives information that there is another nature, which is eternally existent without being occasionally created or destroyed, and that the conditioned soul can understand what he should do and how this valuable energy may be utilized. Instead of wasting his energy in matter, which is sure to be destroyed in due course by the supreme will, the conditioned soul should utilize his energy in the devotional service of the Lord so that he can be transferred to eternal nature where there is no birth, no death, no creation, no destruction, but permanent life instead. Full of knowledge and unlimited bliss. The temporary creation is thus exhibited and destroyed just to give information to the conditioned soul who is attached to temporary things. It is also meant to give him a chance of self-realization and now not for sense gratification, which is the prime aim of all furtive actors. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutile Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutile Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirbhishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Panchakalpatarubhyacha kripasindhuva eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam this morning. Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran is a torchlight and it shows us the transcendental way back to Godhead. It gives us the highest spiritual realization through the process of Bhakti Yoga. Devotional service to Lord Shri Krishna is the eternal constitutional position of every living entity. However, the living entity conditioned in this material world is forgetful of his position. And therefore, this living entity is swayed away by the waves of material nature. Only Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra together make an attempt to remind the conditioned soul of the eternal relationship with Krishna. And therefore, this Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran, being the topmost spiritual literature, repeatedly recommends and glorifies the process of Bhakti Yoga as the topmost means for the spiritual upliftment for the entire humanity. Lord Krishna, after winding up his pastimes from this planet, he returned back in the form of Grantha, or in the form of this book as Srimad Bhagavatam, to shed light on the spiritual matter for the uncivilized people of Kali Yuga. And through the mouth of Shukdev Goswami, this Bhagavatam started to flow. So this Bhagavatam Mahapuran, which is the answer to all the questions for the entire humanity, it started flowing from the mouth of Shukdev Goswami when Parikshit Maharaj was confused and started asking questions from him. So therefore, Bhagavatam, it's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece of question and answers. And when a living entity inquires, then the answers comes from the great acharyas. For today's words, we are reading from Canto 2 and Chapter 10. This Canto 2 highlighted in the entire journey of Canto 2, we saw that how this chapter highlighted the importance of Bhakti Yoga. Until now, this last and final chapter of this canto, entitled Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. It has some weight, this title. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. In this particular chapter, there are 10 main topics of Srimad Bhagavatam has been described very precisely. And in all the 12 cantos, these 10 topics have been covered, more or less, in brief or in detailed. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says that all the 12 cantos have all the 10 topics. Maybe one or two canto 1 and canto 2, more likely is talking about Sarga and Visarga, but it does have the tinge of that Bhakti Yoga. And we also read that how 9 topics is completely dependent on the 10th topic, which is Ashraya, or the supreme shelter. And in the same chapter, chapter from verses 10 to 35, we saw about the Sarga Srishti, or the creation of Virat Rupa, and that was being those were all the answers to Parikshit Maharaj from his previous question in chapter 8. And now Sarga Srishti, or the primary creation through the Virat Rupa, took place till 35. How Virat Rupa desired, and then gross sense organ generated, and then from there subtle sense organ and sense devta came out, and then afterward the bodily function. And on the basis of that, we saw that how a living entity also get human birth. Now in this from 36 to 47, Visarga has been explained, or we can say Visarga means the Srishti which was done by secondary creation, which was done by Lord Brahma. Particularly this text 43, thereafter, at the end of the millennium, the Lord himself, in the form of Rudra, the destroyer, will annihilate the complete creation as the wind displaces the clouds. In text 42, we saw that how Lord act as maintainer. And throughout the journey of this canto, we have seen the process of creation. How 3 Purusha avatars, they come, and these 3 Purusha avatars, they incarnate only for the creation of material universes. And now in text 43, the process of annihilation has been explained. In Canto 12, Chapter 4, process of annihilation is very nicely explained in detail. And then I thought to bring some of the facts from that canto and from that particular chapter, because there are various kinds of annihilations. Here, annihilation has been taught only for very briefly, but in fact, annihilation happen at various periods, and there are types of annihilations too. Now, before going into the types of annihilation and the process of annihilation deeply, I would like to explain why we have to learn about the process of annihilation. We learned about the process of creation, and our acharyas said that it is very important to understand that God is great, but how God is great? Because he can create so many wonderful things which we can not even comprehend. But why we are learning about the process of annihilation? In chapter 4th, Canto 12, Srila Sukadev Goswami, right before giving the final instructions to Parikshit Maharaj, and thereafter in the next chapter, Parikshit Maharaj just leave his body. In Canto 12, I'm talking about. So it is very significant that Shukadev Goswami, his spiritual master, King Parikshit, he broadly discussed about the cosmic manifestation right before the death of his disciple. Why? Why it is very important for him and for all of us, because all of us has only 7 days. And we know that we are going to annihilate. So by attentively hearing the story of universal destruction, one can easily understand that one's personal departure or destruction of this material body from this temporary world is a very insignificant incident if we see the huge scope of the total material manifestation. And therefore, Shukdev Goswami, right before the death of, so-called death of Parikshit Maharaj, prepared his disciple, prepared him that whatever you are, whatever is happening, it's just temporary. Everything is just temporary. So don't get bewildered by the loss of your material body. Now coming onto the types and categories of universal annihilation, because it's the subject matter of translation, and then we will deep dive into the purport. So there are 4 kinds of annihilation, which is summarized in Canto 12. First is constant annihilation. And the constant annihilation is also subdivided into so many other annihilation. Annihilation of our body, individual annihilation. Annihilation at the end of a yuga. Annihilation at the end of a life of a Manu. All these annihilations are temporary and constant. They are constant, going on. At every moment, this time is transforming the bodies of all the created beings. And of all created beings, and also of all other manifestations of matter. Everything is changing with the Kala Shakti of the Lord, with the time. And this process of transformation causes the living entity to undergo the constant annihilation of birth and death. Even Brahma Ji, who is the topmost living entity, is not saved from the annihilation of birth and death. And the next annihilation, type of annihilation, is occasional annihilation. So there are 4 yugas, and 1000 times if we rotate, if we 1000 cycle, if we rotate of 4 yugas, that constitute 1 day of Brahma. And the night of the Brahma is exactly the same time of his day. And in 1 day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus. And as I said, that at the end of each Manu, there is an annihilation. That is constantly annihilation. But this annihilation is occasional annihilation, which happen at the night of Brahma. Brahma sleeps, and what happened at the night of Brahma? 3 planetary systems meet with destruction. And this particular destruction is called Naimittika, or occasional annihilation. So when Brahma's night appears, the sun and moon, they became without glare, but they do not vanish. In occasional annihilation, I'm talking about Naimittika annihilation. They appear in the remaining portion of the universe. And Brahmalok is still there in occasional, when Brahma sleeps. And the devastation takes place due to the fire emanating from the mouth of Lord Sankarshana. And the sages, Saptarishis, headed by Brigu and other inhabitants of Maharloka, they transfer themselves to the upper planetary system, or Janakloka, because they get disturbed by the warmth of the blazing heat of the fire, from the blazing fire that is coming out from the mouth of Sankarshana. And what happened at the beginning of this devastation? All the seas, all the oceans become so furious or overflooded. And in no time, the 3 planetary systems become full of water. And the fire which is coming from the mouth of Sankarshana, it rages for 36,000 years. And then for another 36,000 years, there are torrents of rains with wind. And the oceans, they overflow, as I said. So for 72,000 years, 72,000 years are the beginning of these reactions for 72,000 years are the beginning of partial devastation of the three worlds. Or you can say, when Brahma goes to sleep, the three worlds below Brahmaloka all get submerged into the water of devastation. And in his sleeping condition, Brahmaji dreams about Garbhodakshai Vishnu. If we remember in Canto 2, chapter 5th, if I am right, yeah, Brahmaji, he asked Lord for how to recreate the Srishti from the devastated area. At that time, they were talking about the occasional annihilation or nemetika destruction. So when this happened, this is a partial annihilation, and it happens up to the earthly planet. And there is also a partial annihilation which happened up to the earthly planet at the end of each month. And this annihilation happened when Brahma sleeps at night time, right? And then Brahma, in his dream, he asked Garbhodakshai Vishnu and again take instructions from the Lord how to recreate the devastated area. Now, there is a third type of destruction. And the third type of destruction is called prakartika destruction or total material annihilation. Total material annihilation. And when it happens, when the Brahma's lifespan is finished, Brahma has a lifespan of 100 days. And as we said, that 1 day of Brahma is equivalent to 1,000 Chaturyugas. And then when 100 days pass, what happened? Brahma's lifespan get finished. And at that time, the entire universal egg, you remember, if anyone remember, we did in process of creation, there was a universal egg which has 7 layers of those 7 layers, and then 5 material elements are there, and 1 layer is 10 times thicker of that. So universes, there are so many material universes like that from the breathing of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. I'm sorry, from Mahavishnu, Karanodakshai Vishnu. So at that time of devastation, the total material annihilation, Lord Ananta, he desires to create, he desires to destroy the entire creation. And at that time, he becomes slightly angry. This is from earlier, whatever I have explained about Nemitika or occasional, it was from Canto 12. And now there is a particular statement which is given in Canto 5th, chapter 25th. And in that it says that at the time of total devastation, what happened? Lord Ananta, he becomes very angry. And from his eyebrows, 3-eyed Rudra carrying a trident just comes. And this Rudra is also known as Sankarshan. And this Rudra is the embodiment of 11 Rudras. So there are in actuality 11 Rudras, and there are 11 Rudranis also. So this 11 Rudras, they get together in the form of Sankarshana. When Lord Sankarshana or Ananta get angry from his eyebrow, what happened? This Rudra comes out and he devastates the creation. So that particular Rudra is talked about in this translation. At the end of millennium, the Lord himself, Lord Sankarshana, in the form of Rudra, the destroyer, this is total material annihilation. Prakritika will annihilate the complete creation. He appears to devastate the creation. Now, as the annihilation approaches, what happened? As the total material annihilation approach, what happened? There is no rain on the earth for 100 years. And there is drought, there will be drought, and it will lead to famine, and then the starving population, what they are going to do, they will consume each other. And thus, everything will gradually be destroyed. And what is going to happen? The sun is going to drink the water from the ocean, of the living bodies, and of the earth itself. But that devastating sun will not give any rain in return. And next, what is happening? Next, what is going to happen? The fire of annihilation will come from the mouth of Lord Sankarshana, as it happened in partial devastation. And there will be winds, blazing winds, and these winds will take the fire from the mouth of Lord Sankarshana and will burn throughout the universe. And burning from all sides, from the sun, from the mouth of Lord Sankarshana, this entire universal egg will look like a burning ball, like we burn cow dung patty. So this universe will look like that, because fire is emanating from everywhere. And this universe will burn like a ball, like cow dung patty. It will appear like that. And then it says in Canto 12 that then at that time a great and terrible wind will blow for 100 years. And the sky will cover with dust and everything. All the multicolor clouds will gather, and there will be thunderstorms, rain for 100 years. And at that time, the entire shell of the universe will fill up with water. And it will become like a single ocean, cosmic ocean. And as the entire universe is flooded, now what is going to happen? This water is going to take away the unique quality of fragrance from the earth. You remember, if anyone remember, that in process of creation, we have done from Mahat Tattva, how Sutra Tattva came. And from Sutra Tattva, we came into Ahankara, in ignorance. And from there, everything emanated, all the Tan Mantras, all the sense devatas. And now what is happening? Everything is wrapped up, is wound up in the order it came. So water will take away the fragrance from earth, and earth and the fire will take away the taste from water. And then water is going to merge into fire. And earlier, and earth is going to dissolve once its fragrance is going to withdraw by the water. And then this fire, which is this fire is going to take the taste from the water, and water ultimately merge into the element fire. And this air takes away the form from the fire, and this fire ultimately going to merge into air. And this ether then going to take the quality of touch from air, and this air going to merge into ether. And this false ego in ignorance, it's going to take away the sound from the ether, and false ego in passion will take away senses, and false ego in goodness takes the demigods. If we remember, that's how the creation started, right? And now everything is wounding up, going back. So the Mahat Tattva, finally, everything will merge into Mahat Tattva. That Mahat Tattva, everything will get to merge into Mahat Tattva. Now this Mahat Tattva is going to go into the Pradhana. That Pradhana, which is just a lump of matter, but it is going to be still staying there. Everything got finished, annihilation. And there is a fourth kind of annihilation, which is a final annihilation. Now, what is this final annihilation? Final annihilation, when living entity gets a chance to go out from the cycle of birth and death again and again, this living entity is revolving into the cycle of birth and death. This living entity stays in the body of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and then all the Vishnus just merge into Mahavishnu. And it stays there, living entity. It's not going back into the spiritual world even after the total material annihilation. So here comes the point that everything is temporary. Everything is so it's not we often heard this line, Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. Jagan Mithya means that this world is unreal. This world is not unreal, it is temporary. Why it is not unreal? It is not unreal because this world is the manifestation of Lord himself, of Krishna himself. And there are so many analogies given in Canto 12. In Canto 12, and also in Canto 4th, when Narad Muni is giving instructions to Prachetas, 10 sons of Maharaj Prachina Bhari. And there he explains to them that everything is coming from Krishna, and everything is the transformation of the Supreme Lord. And so many analogies have been given by Narad Muni. He said, just like senses, they appear to be active when we are awake, when we are in our wakeful situation. At that time, what happened? We feel that our senses are working. But when we sleep, at that time, the senses, although inactive, but still they are with the body. So when they are with the body, so that means those senses are still there. But these senses are still there, but they are not working. So similarly, this material world, the creation of the material world manifestation or unmanifestation is there, and it's going on. And it's a transformation of the Supreme Lord. In Canto 12 also, Shukdev Goswami is very nicely explaining to Parikshit Maharaj that everything which you can see, everything is the transformation of the Lord. And very nice analogies are given. One analogy was that in a mirage, when we confuse a mirage with a body of water, in actuality, a mirage is the transformation of the light. It's the transformation of the light, mirage. This light is truth, and the transformation of light is also truth. And what we are seeing through our eyes is also a form of light. So basically, everything is a light. So this example of mirage has been given in there. And also, in this particular translation, also clouds, example of clouds have been given. So what are clouds? Clouds are water vapors, right? Sun just suck the water from the ocean, and when this water vapors condense, make condensed form, then it becomes, it shows some certain shape in the sky, and we say these are clouds, right? These are clouds. So I remember now clouds, when I was small, I used to, with other kids, that these clouds, they have shapes. We used to talk about, okay, this is the shape of your face, and this is the shape of a train, like that. Clouds make forms in the sky. So now these clouds, if we see, these clouds is a transformation of the energy of the sun. And again, these clouds block sun. These clouds block the view of the sun from the eye of an individual. So whenever clouds cover sun, we are not able to see sun. So this eye, which is also called an expansion of the sun, cannot see the sun through the covering of the cloud, which is again the expansion of the sun. So Shukadev Goswami in Canto 12 is saying, similarly, absolute truth, absolute truth, his expansion is material energy, and false ego is the expansion of the absolute truth. And the living entity is also the expansion or the separated energy of the absolute truth. And what is happening? This false ego is covering the absolute truth, Krishna, from the separated energy or the expansions of Krishna. Absolute truth is covering himself with the absolute truth from the absolute truth. I hope I'm not confusing. The analogy is that everything is the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nothing is different from him. Everything belongs to him. Everything is him. But what is happening? These are different forms, or these are different expansions of the same Lord. So this creation, maintenance, and annihilation, these are nothing but the transformations of that Supreme Lord and the playful activities of the Supreme Lord. So the final annihilation, which we did not talk about yet, final annihilation happens when a person or a living entity gains this knowledge of his relationship with Krishna. And when he understands his real identity. And what is the real identity? That I am the eternal servant of the Lord. At that time, he gets liberated from the material nature. Even if that living entity is in the body of 9 gates, even then, what happened? This living entity, while residing in the body of 9 gates in this gross material body, is still liberated or still on the transcendental level, and gains the final annihilation, or the final annihilation when it happens, when we get free from our false ego. Atyantika annihilation, that is called in chapter 4. Particularly in text 34, it says. So, yeah. So, the final annihilation of a living entity happens at that time. And at that time, as Srila Prabhupada also says, there is a permanent nature. There is a permanent nature where there is no birth, no death, no creation, and no destruction. And life goes on full of knowledge, bliss, and unlimited knowledge at eternity and unlimited bliss. That's the final Atyantika annihilation of the living entity. When living entity never comes back in this material creation. And as I said in the start of the discussion, that how Bhagavatam and our spiritual master paves the way in that direction. And it's very important for the living entity to accept and follow the process. First of all, we are ignorant, and we are ignorant, and we accept our body as ourself. And due to illusion, we are trying to satisfy this temporary nature of our senses. And because of that, our time is just going away, getting out. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5th, it's Canto 4th, a very nice story, a very nice algorithm story has been explained by Narad Muni to Maharaj Maharaj Bharisat, or Maharaj, his name was Maharaj Prachina Bharitu, and he explained a very nice algorithm story in Canto 4th. And the story is so long, so I'm just cut short. I will cut short the story. the story is that a living entity, a king, there was a king by the name Puranjana. And this king, what happens, he was with his friend, and the name of the friend was Abhijanata. And this friend, they were both together. And what happened, this king Puranjana, he just gets separated from his friend, and he was wandering he was wandering like that. And he saw a very beautiful city, and this city was of 9 gates, and he entered into that city. And there was a very beautiful woman, and she was accompanied by her assistants. And then King Puranjana got attracted towards that lady. And that lady, she also got attracted towards the king, and they got married. And this King Puranjana, he was in love with his queen, whose name was Puranjani. And he spent his time just in gratifying his senses. And gratifying his senses, satisfying his queen throughout his life. And at one point of time, one king by the name Chandavega attacked the city of 9 gates. And when that happened, everything was finished. And there are so many intricacies in the story. If we read, it's a very big, elaborated story given. So, at that time, what happened? Everything got finished. King Puranjana, there was a 5-hooded snake also, which tried to defend the city of 9 gates, because this 5-hooded snake was always there as a protector of the city. So, but nothing happened, and snake was dead. And then King Puranjana, he was shackled by the chains by that King Chandavega. And ultimately, at that time, he was thinking of his wife, Queen Puranjani, and he left his body like that, King Puranjana. And because at the time of death, he was thinking about a woman, he became woman in his next birth. And his name was Vedarbhai. And in next birth also, it showed that she got married with a king, and then his king died, and then Vidarbhi was crying again at the death of his husband. And then at that time when he was crying, and then when she was crying, Vidarbhi, what happened? An unknown friend, he comes, and he was giving philosophical he was having philosophical discussion with Queen Vedarbhi, and explained her that how this is the temporary arrangement of bodies. But even after telling the allegorical story to King Parachinabhari, Maharaj Parachinabhari was clueless, and he asked Narad Muni, I did not understand what you just told me and why you are telling me. So Narad Muni said that you are so attached with your kingdom, with your temporary possessions, and with your everything, with your sons and everybody. So I wanted you to understand this, that everything is temporary. And because of this temporary nature, and because of our attachment, this living entity is circling around in the cycle of birth and death. And he explained that King Puranjana is nothing but the living entity who is trapped in the body of 9 gates, which is our material body. And then the queen Puranjani is intelligence. Living entity get married to the intelligence and listens everything about the intelligence, and there are other assistants of the intelligence and senses also. The snake with the 5-foot snake who has 5 hoods, it represents the 5 life years. And that's how Narad Muni explained very nicely to King Prachinabhari that, how without devotional service in a life of a living entity, how because of the ignorance just keep revolving, circling around the world. Sometimes this living entity takes the birth as a male, Sometimes this living entity takes the birth as an aquatic. Sometimes a living entity becomes very ugly. Sometimes a living entity becomes president of America. Sometimes this living entity becomes a worm, and sometimes a living entity becomes Brahma. So the living entity is just circling around. So if we want to get out of this vicious circle, we have to accept the devotional service of the Lord, and this is the only process. That's what Narad Muni said. And also in the later chapters, when Narad Muni gave instructions to Prachetas, he explained the same thing. He said, without devotional service, if you have big possessions in your life, if you are a mystic yogi, if you are a jnani, you have so much knowledge, and if you have, or even if you have material possessions, what is the use? What's the use of everything? There is no use, unless you satisfy your, unless you are helping your soul to go back to the Godhead, or unless you are helping your soul to go back to the spiritual world. So this Narad Muni is a very important personality in Srimad Bhagavatam, and we can see that he is making his appearance in he is making his appearance in all the cantos. And he is giving instructions about Bhakti Yoga. He's an Acharya in Bhakti Yoga. And that's how he is saving all the living entities. And why the stories like Maharaj Prachina Bhari and other kings are there? Because through the example of these devotees, or through these personalities, we can understand that what is the temporary nature of this world, and how we can go back and reach our ultimate position in the spiritual world, our Swarupa, our own Swarupa. This is just like a living entity. There is a disease, which is a disease, I think it's called amnesia, loss of memory. You know, when an accident happen or something, happen with your head, if there is any kind of jerk in your head, you kind of, a person just forget about the things. He even forget about his own self. And then what is the solution for this problem, for this disease? We bring familiar things, right? We bring from familiar things in front of that person, and try to help that person to remember his past. See, this is your computer, or maybe this is your bead bag, like that. Things which can bring back the memory of the person. So similarly, we are all just, we having that problem of where we lost our memory. And all these things, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, message of the Lord, bringing back to us. See, who are you? Who are you? Who am I? Who am I? This question, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. This is Aham Brahmasmi. Again and again, these shastras come in front of us, and in order to give us a remembrance that who we are and what we have done to us. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Sanatana Goswami asked from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He asked in Sanatan Shiksha, he asked the question, who am I? The first question he asked. We see in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asked, I'm confused about my duty. I don't know what to do. I really don't know. So he asked like that, and Krishna started talking about body, mind, and soul. So Arjuna and Arjun, he is Nitya Siddha Bhakta, and he is in the Sakhya Bhav. And this Sanatana Goswami, being a Manjari of the Lord, he just come straight on the point in Sanatan Siksha. Who am I? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nityadas. Straight to the point, who am I? So this is what we have to learn. We have to cultivate the process of understanding the the topics which has been given in Srimad Bhagavatam specifically. Sometimes it happens that we just read it, and I'm talking about myself. We just read it and just that's it. No, nothing. The teachings I'm not imbibing in my life, which is very, very important. If we are not imbibing the teachings in my life, then what is the use of even reading? And then we are waiting for every morning we are saying Nashta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Seveya. The Anartha Nirvritti, when it's going to happen, Anartha Nirvritti is going to happen when I'm actually taking the teachings and imbibing in my life. Still, we are doing, after reading so many kinds of Vaishnava Prats, we are doing a Vaishnava Prat. After going through the story of Prahlad Maharaj, we are still not very convinced. So therefore, the situation of a living entity is when the living entity gets this human form of life is very, very, this human form of life gives a very important chance to get out. And in Canto 5th, it's not in Canto 5th, in Canto 4th, it says that when living entity, when Jiva falls from the spiritual world, it comes into the body of nine gate. The first birth is human birth, to give this Jiva a chance to go back. But because of the degrading activities and not understanding the real purpose of the life, this living entity keeps on doing degraded works and keeps on refusing the authority of Lord and keeps on trying to enjoy the combination and permutations of this material creation. And with that, what is happening? We fall down into the lower species of life. And from there, the circle starts and start. It becomes very difficult to come out from there. Although we still get a chance. Therefore, a devotee is supposed to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to trees, to animals, to aquatics, to insects, to birds, to everybody, so that it can give them the chance to come out from this body and can get a body of human beings, so that they can get a chance to go back to Krishna. I think it's already time, and I'm sure that, whatever I have said, I read, and accordingly, I narrated. If I said anything which is not according to the Shastras or according to the Acharyas, I'm very sorry for that. Please correct me. And if there is any questions, any additions, please, the floor is open. Now you can go ahead. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much again for giving me this opportunity. Hare Krishna. Okay, if nobody has anything, then we can end the call here and wish you a very happy Krishna conscious day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you for the
Hare Krishna.
briefly explanation, Mataji, about the destruction.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Mataji, you have all the comments because you did whole Bhagavatam in half an hour, in 1 hour. So that is not that easy. So that's very good. Lot of information was there. So thank you very much. And I tried to grasp whatever you said. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for your nice class. And
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Great
Hare
class,
Krishna.
Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhu.
Asindubhyeva patitanam pavanebhyo
Vaishnaveyo namo namaha.